Welcome to Unspoken Affairs. I've never told anyone this. Not my closest friend, not even him. Because once some truths are spoken aloud, they stop being just thoughts you can hide from. They become permanent, something you can't take back. It happened just after 6 in the morning in our Seattle living room. The light still pale and new. It's the kind that doesn't quite reach the corners yet. I had come downstairs to make tea. My hands were still clumsy with sleep, my mind elsewhere, and I spilled half the mug across the hardwood. I bent to clean it, cloth in hand, my focus only on the slow spread of liquid across the floor. I didn't hear him at first. Steps behind me were soft, deliberate, unhurried. And then I felt it, the shift in the air. That kind of awareness? You don't need to see to know. My husband's younger brother, Liam, was standing there. I froze, cloth pressed to the floor. My breath caught halfway up my throat. I didn't turn around. I could feel how close he was without looking. When I finally glanced over my shoulder, he wasn't looking at the spill. His eyes were fixed on me. Not in a way I could explain, but in a way I could feel. It was like something in him had stopped mid-thought, and I was the reason why. For a moment, the rest of the room, the rest of the world, went still. I knew I should have stood, laughed it off, broken the moment before it formed into something else. I didn't, and he didn't move back. He came down to the floor beside me, his voice low, almost testing the space between us. "You okay?" I nodded, but my voice wouldn't come. We stayed like that longer than we should have. It's close enough that I could sense his breathing. It's close enough that it felt like we were teetering on the edge of something that had been quietly building for much longer than I'd admitted to myself. And then it was gone, just like that. He stood and walked away. But the air he left behind was different, now charged, heavier, carrying something neither of us could name. That morning stretched on endlessly. I sat in the living room long after. He'd gone upstairs, the cloth still in my hands, wondering if I'd imagined it. But I knew I hadn't. That night I made dinner, trying to fill the silence with the clink of cutlery. The smell of rosemary, the normal rituals of a quiet house. When he finally came down, our eyes met for the first time since dawn. We ate without speaking until halfway through. He said, "I'm sorry." But it wasn't the kind of sorry you give when you want to erase something. It was softer, like he was sorry for wanting it at all. "You didn't force me," I told him, and it came out sharper than I meant. His eyes lifted to mine, and for a second, the truth hung between us. We had both wanted it. After dinner, our hands brushed when we cleared the plates. Us pulled away quickly enough. That tiny, ordinary moment felt heavier than it should have. And I knew we were both replaying the morning in our heads. The next day, I found a note on my bedroom door. It said, "I don't know how to act normal around you, but I don't want to disappear either." I didn't write back. I didn't throw it away either. From then on, we moved through the house like 2 points caught in the same orbit, never colliding, but never truly apart. Every small interaction seemed to hum with something unspoken. The pause before speaking, the way his shoulder would brush mine when passing in the kitchen. It's the almost smiles we caught ourselves hiding. One afternoon, I passed him in the narrow space between the basement door and the living room. We stopped without meaning to, close enough that the air between us felt fragile, like the slightest word could shatter it. He looked at me, and I could tell he was remembering something. I didn't need to ask what. We didn't step closer, but we didn't move apart. It was dangerous. The way you can stand still and still feel like you've crossed a line. The days that followed carried that same quiet pull. The way his voice dipped when he said my name. The way we would find ourselves in the same room without planning to be. The silence between us wasn't empty, it was alive. When my husband texted to say he'd be home the next day, the house seemed to hold its breath. Early the next morning, I came downstairs and found Liam sitting on the living room floor, his back against the wall, eyes tired as if he'd been there for hours. "You're leaving," I said quietly. He nodded. "Because Mark's coming." "Home?" Another nod. I stepped toward him and knelt down, so we were at eye level. This time there was no sharpness, no hesitation, just the weight of knowing the moment was ending. I pulled something from behind me. 'Twas the cloth I'd been holding that morning. I folded it once, then set it in his lap. "I can't keep this," I said softly, but I couldn't throw it away either. He looked down at it, then back at me, his eyes carrying something I didn't have a name for. I leaned in just enough for our foreheads to touch. "I still don't regret it," I whispered. He exhaled slowly, like I'd released something he'd been holding in too long. But he didn't move closer. He didn't kiss me. And somehow that made it harder. I stood, turned, and walked away without looking back. But as I reached the stairs, I heard the faint shift of his weight, the quiet sound of a knee touching the floor, and I knew he had knelt too. Maybe not toward me, but toward the version of us that would never exist again. Some people you only touch in passing. Some moments never become what they could have been. And some truths you carry quietly, not because you're proud, but because they remind you just for a moment what it felt like to be entirely, undeniably alive. I'm not proud of what happened, but for the first time in years, I felt something real. And sometimes that's enough to haunt you for the rest of your life.